Hello everyone, and welcome back to DMG. Today I'm going to be building my first complete PC. So I think this is going to be a lot of fun. Let me grab the board I'm going to be using. It is this one. The cooler's off because I swapped the CPU. I swapped out the Pentium dual core that was in there for my own Core 2 Quad Q9550. I'm going to use this system for either Ubuntu, like testing parts on Ubuntu, or testing parts on like Windows 7. So I've got the same 4 gigs of RAM, and I might actually swap it out for some other 2 gig modules I have, but I'm not sure. While I'm talking, I'll get this cooler back on. Sorry, I just ran to get this board. The cooler went this way. I've already replaced thermal paste with some fresh stuff. Okay, I'm going to scoot this out of the way really quickly and just focus on snapping these in. There we go. But yeah, this is going to be the first full start to finish build that I've done. I've disassembled systems that were already assembled and, replaced parts and stuff, but I've never fully put together a whole system like this. And it's already not going well because of these little mounting clips not wanting to stay down. Hopefully this thing's going to handle the Core 2 Quad fine. I think it's a 95 watt chip. Alright, here's the case that we're going to be putting in. It's an old Roseville case. It's going to be sufficient. Of course, it's not the best in terms of airflow, all of that. But it's going to be fine for just a light daily use kind of PC. I'm going to grab the rest of the standoffs. Alright, I've got a big bag of just screws and standoffs, and hopefully some of these are going to work. Now the thing is, I no longer have the manual for this case, so I'm going to have to go off of memory where the ATX holes are. Or I could just look at the board and, yeah, I'm just going to look at the board and see where they are. Okay, so there are 2 down there. Oh, this front panel spaghetti is starting to go everywhere. I think of this case, I can just, yep, I can. I'll just deal with this mess a bit later. Honestly, it looks a bit better without the front panel in my opinion. Right, DVD drive. DVD CD writer. This will go up here. Some of you are probably saying, what are you going to use that for? Well, it's an older build, so I gotta have one for the older software that is either installed from or like needs a drive. Okay, there are the holes. It looks like it's supposed to go there. I think these are the screws that go to it. Not 100% sure. I mean, they're going in, so. Yeah, those are probably the screws to it. And then this case might have screw holes on the other side. I've already taken both side panels off. Now this case doesn't have much room at the bottom, so probably things like plugging in the front panel header are going to be slightly difficult, but that's fine. It's nothing that I can't handle. I'm a big boy. I can plug in front panel headers. So yeah, up there are more holes. And I think after I screw this in, I'm going to try closing the case back up, or putting the front panel back on is what I mean, and seeing if it works, because the DVD drive has a special hole in the front panel that's not the size of the entire panel. So I'm going to test to make sure that that works. I'm going to move these out of the way. Alright, that should be the remainder of the DVD drive screws. So yeah, the reason I couldn't put it there is that the hole in the front panel was on the second slot, not the first one. So yeah, there you go. You've got your concealed DVD drive. And then if you can hear it, that button, it's got a little extension on the end that presses the button on the drive. So I mean, pretty neat. Makes it so that it doesn't stick out very much. Now I might put a blob of hot glue on the other side of that button, or on the DVD drive button, because the button on this DVD drive is, it's more recessed into the drive than a lot of other drive models. Yeah, most drives don't have it that far down. So I think I will eventually fix that. But just glad that it basically works for now. Wow. There we go. Alright, I'm going to want a hard drive. How about this 500 gig Seagate Barracuda, 7200 RPM. It's more of a pro/server grade drive, but it's from their consumer line. Did the drives go there? No, I remember from this case, you screw them to this. Let's see if I can remember the holes. Those are for SSDs, but there are also holes for hard drives. Oh good, Roseville has a PDF on their site. Okay, so I was thinking correctly. No, the camera can't see that. I'll just do it. It said to screw it here, the hard drive, with like those screws. But the thing is, for some reason, my drive doesn't look like it lines up with any of those. Oh, I see. So for a hard drive, sorry, there's so many holes. You use these holes. Okay. Of course, this is a pretty essential component. I'm going to be putting this power supply in this PC. That is very tight with the optical drive. It's probably one of the tightest PCs I've worked on. I'm going to rotate it so that I can better see this. I believe these are power supply sized screws. Once you've worked on enough computers, you know what all the screw sizes are. Just by looking at them, you can be like, oh, that's a power supply screw. It's a little screw. Alright, then here's our next screw. Sorry, my camera hit the 20-minute limit and stopped recording. Now these are all 4 of our power supply screws. If you've been watching this channel for more than like a couple weeks, you're going to recognize this power supply. It's the one that I used in the Optiplex build. Now, I think, of course, this being my first build, I don't know too much about order. Also, I never finished screwing in the motherboard. I should do that. I'm seeing a couple screws that are undone, but let's see. But yeah, don't go off of this as a guide. This is more of a just fun video. Because it's my first time as well. So if I were you, I would not reference this. Alright, this is a basically new OEM GTX 670. This would have been put in Alienware systems. It's relatively small. It doesn't get super hot or need a lot of power. It just has 2 6-pins, which yeah, that's a good deal, but you know, not like the crazy GPUs now that needs so much power. Alright. Just gonna go ahead and plug in our front fan while I'm thinking about it. Now this case doesn't have much room for cable management. There's not much room behind the motherboard tray, that kind of thing. barely enough to fit like a fan hub wire, so I'm not going to do too much like power supply cable management. But in goes the GPU. Okay, looks like that blocker is on the top slot, so I gotta take that out. As you can see, this is a very sturdily built case. Nothing wrong with it at all. But yeah, this card has only been powered on a single time, and that was, well, that I know of. But that was by me to make sure that it posted. Oh wait, no, I could have left the top slot one in. I'm sorry, I am blind. I was going to use the HD 5870 for this build, the engineering sample, but I decided not to because I sold enough older PCs to be able to afford this brand new GTX 670, which A, is a more powerful card, and B, it was only about $99 including shipping, and C, it is not extremely rare like the engineering sample one was. So, plus I found that NVIDIA drivers, contrary to what a lot of people tell you, but NVIDIA drivers, in my opinion, are easier on Linux than the AMD ones. Didn't used to be that way, but it is now, in my opinion. Oh, before putting the huge GPU in, I probably should have plugged all that in. Yeah, I'm gonna need to take this out, actually. Alright, all of this goes in there. It was cable tied from the factory, which is pretty nice. That's really the only cable management they do provide in this case, though. And that's not gonna be the only drive in here. I am gonna put an SSD in here at some point. Power switch, power LED. Shouldn't there be reset? No, this case doesn't have it. Okay. We'll start with our, okay, that's USB 7.8, USB 9.1, and USB 1.1.1.2. I'm not sure which one of these I should plug in, so I'm just going to try the first one, USB 1.1.1.2. And then just kind of scoot that cable out of the way. Then we've got one of these the board does not have that. Then we've got HD audio. Is that AAFP? I think AAFP, as it is labeled on the board, is the same as the HD audio. This is definitely not a good case for first build, not gonna lie. And also, this doesn't have the standard Intel front panel pinout. It's some proprietary kind of thing. Also, it doesn't look like I have a hard drive activity indicator LED. Oh, because this case doesn't even have one, okay. So yeah, this is definitely a very bare bones case. Now the thing is, how do I sneak this GPU in? Under all of these cables that I just plugged in. I'm going to go ahead and plug in my 24 pin. Boom. I think I'm going to be able to just slide it under. This case definitely was not designed for a... this was basically NVIDIA's RX 570. Like, it was like RX 570, RX 580. It was that class of card. It was like a pretty decent gaming card back in the day when it came out. Yeah, this case was not designed for that at all. There we go. There's a little part that goes over the top of the PCI Express like slots, but it has disappeared from the case. Probably just fell off at some point. Then of course these plug into your GPU. I'm going to cable manage it more than this. I know I can't do too much in this case, but I am at least gonna, you know, move some of these cables over here, tie these together, that kind of thing, so it's not so much of a mess. At this point, we could just go ahead and test it, probably. There we go, so that just will, well, it's intended to hold the hard drive panel down. Oh, okay, so there's another one up there. Good, I was like, wait, that does not feel good. An IO shield would make it look great, but I could probably find one online for this board that's pretty cheap. Alright, well, I'm finished. Currently it's installing Ubuntu 21.10. I've got Windows 10 Pro on this drive, Ubuntu on this one, because A, I really like Ubuntu's disk management utility, so if I ever need to use that, then I've got it here. And B, you know, sometimes I just want to use Linux instead of Windows for some reason, you know, maybe running a Linux-only program. But then I still want to have Windows on this computer for, you know, when I need to run Windows programs but don't want to use my main PC for whatever reason. I'll probably take this with me if I go to like friends' houses, that kind of thing, because my main system is just huge and heavy. Of course, the 500 gig hard drive, and then a 160 gig laptop drive that Ubuntu is installed on. GTX 670 still. The 2x2 gigs, I've been trying to get a hold of 2x4 gigs, but those modules are pretty expensive and hard to find. There were only a couple companies that made them. I think Kingston and Samsung, off the top of my head. And of course the Q9550 and the Bomb power supply. I'm in the market for a Q9650, and I found one for about $40 that I think I might go for. Alright, I apologize that I'm having to film the screen like this. I don't really like doing that. But it's the only thing I can do because I don't have a capture card. We've got our GPU all set up here. It seems to be getting okay thermals. And of course we've got our Core 2 Quad. So let's try some SuperTux Kart just to put some GPU load on. I'm gonna try and max it out. I want to see if it can handle it. Alright, here we go. Gonna set it all the way to 6. 1920 by 1080. I'll turn on VSync. Oh wait, no, not motion blur, it's bad. Alright boys, here we go. How about we do some Raven Bridge Mansion? It's got a lot of like brightness effects and stuff. Changing light levels. Oh wow, that looks good. Time to see how it runs, of course. I've never actually used depth of field in this game. I like how it looks. And it's running it super well. It doesn't come across well on camera how good it looks. Like, of course, yeah, SuperTux Kart. It's not going to be the most beautiful game you've ever seen, but it definitely looks better to the eye than it does on camera. I meant to do that, totally. Normal race, Volcano remake. Boom! Time to melt it. I can hear the GPU fan picking up a bit, but it's not too loud. It's not too loud at all. And I'm sitting right next to it. Yeah, it runs absolutely fantastic. Oh, he dodged it. Honestly, like, it runs almost as well as my 980. Because there's a point where this game just doesn't push the GPU anymore. Like, my GTX 980 on this usually sits around 40 to 60% because it's not really that heavy of a game. But I've never seen it run this well on any of my Linux machines because in the past I've used the Quadro K620 cards in them. Because, you know, of course, they're cheap, they're easy to find, and
I've never really had a Linux machine powerful enough to warrant a better GPU. But you know, now that I've got a Q9550, I can definitely do that. Okay, you might be able to hear it now. It's sounding a bit whiny, you know, it's picking up quite a bit. I'm thinking of cutting a hole in the front of the case to give it a bit more airflow because it's a very closed off case, so it might benefit. Well, it would benefit, but you know, if I can manage to cleanly cut the hole, that would be preferred. There we go. Okay. Honestly, I'm really impressed. Really impressed with this little thing. I forgot to check temps. How are we doing? Not too bad. Can I manually turn the fan all the way down? No, you can't. Okay, so yeah, you can't control the fan through software. I was actually expecting it to be a bit higher because it's in the super closed off case. Anyway, yeah, I am very satisfied with how it performs. Thank you everyone for watching. Please do subscribe if you enjoyed. This was a really fun build, and see you next time.